Dr. Zektar moved his 6 legs carefully across the metal floor of his research ship. His bug-like eyes studied the strange readings on his screen. For 3 months, his team had been looking at this empty space between the stars. But it was not really empty. Something was here, hidden behind a wall of energy that his sensors could barely see. "Commander," Zektar called to his captain, "the barrier is getting weaker. I think we can break through it now." Captain Zorthek walked over on his 4 legs. Like all Vorthak, he looked like a giant insect with green skin and sharp claws. "Are you sure it is safe? This wall of energy has been here for thousands of years." Zektar nodded. "My tests show it is just old technology. Whatever built this is long dead. There might be ancient artifacts inside. Think of what we could learn." The captain looked at the data. The Galactic Archaeological Consortium had sent them here to find relics from old civilizations. This hidden space might hold treasures that would make them famous across the galaxy. "Do it," he said. Zektar worked at his controls. Slowly, his ship's energy beams hit the invisible wall. At first, nothing happened. Then small cracks of light appeared in empty space. The cracks grew bigger and bigger until suddenly the wall shattered like glass. What they saw inside made them freeze with fear. A blue and green planet hung in space, beautiful and alive. Around it moved ships that were bigger and more advanced than anything in the galaxy. These ships did not look old or broken. They looked new and powerful and very dangerous. "By the ancient gods," whispered Captain Zorthek, "there are people living in there." Before they could move, alarms started screaming on their ship. 3 human ships appeared around them so fast that they seemed to just blink into existence. These ships were smooth and silver with no visible weapons, but they felt deadly. "Unknown vessels," came a voice speaking perfect galactic standard. "You have entered Earth space without permission. Power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded." Zektar's claws shook as he looked at his captain. "How do they know our language?" "This system was supposed to be empty." The human voice spoke again, calm and clear. "This is Dr. Kang Minho of the Earth Defense Force. We know you are archaeologists. We will not harm you if you cooperate. But you must understand that you have made a very big mistake." Captain Zorthek tried to run. His ship's engines roared to life, and he turned toward the barrier they had just broken. But the human ships moved like lightning. Blue beams shot out and his engines stopped working. His weapons would not fire. Even his communications were blocked. "Please do not resist," said Dr. Kang Minho. "We are coming aboard now." A bright light filled the Vorthak ship. When it faded, 3 humans stood in the control room. They had appeared from nothing, like magic. They wore simple gray uniforms and carried no visible weapons, but the air around them felt heavy with power. Dr. Kang Minho was tall and thin with black hair and kind eyes. But when he looked at the alien captain, Zorthek felt like a small bug being studied by a giant. "Welcome to Earth space," Minho said with a slight smile. "We have been watching your people for a very long time." "Watching us?" Zektar managed to say. "But your system was sealed. How could you watch anything?" Minho walked to their control panel and touched it gently. The screen changed to show maps of the entire galaxy. Every world, every species, every ship was marked and labeled. "The barrier worked both ways," he said. "Nothing could get in, but we could see everything that happened outside. We have been learning about you for 10,000 years. Commander Park Ji-won stepped forward. She was shorter than Minho but moved like a trained fighter. Her dark eyes were sharp and alert. "You broke a seal that was put there for a good reason," she said. "The beings who built it wanted to keep us away from the galaxy. They were afraid of us." "Afraid?" Captain Zorthek laughed, but it sounded nervous. "You are just one species on one world. The galaxy has thousands of races and millions of ships." Park Ji-won smiled, but it was not a friendly smile. "Yes, we know. We have counted them all." The 3rd human, Yoon Suri, was working on a small device in her hands. She was young with bright, intelligent eyes. "The quantum signatures are stable," she reported to Minho. "The barrier cannot be rebuilt. The seal is broken forever." Minho nodded and turned back to the aliens. "This creates a problem. For 10,000 years we have lived alone. We have grown and learned and built things that your people cannot imagine. We hope to stay hidden forever. But now that is impossible. What do you want from us?" Zektar asked. "Nothing," Minho said simply. "We want you to go back to your people and tell them what you have found. Tell them that humans are real and that we are not the same species that was locked away long ago. Tell them that we have been preparing." "Preparing for what?" Captain Zorthek demanded. Minho looked out at the stars through the ship's window. for whatever comes next. Your galaxy is not as peaceful as it pretends to be. We have seen wars that killed billions. We have watched empires rise and fall. We have studied every weapon, every ship, every battle plan that your people have ever made. Park Ji-won added, "We know which of your leaders are honest and which ones lie. We know which species can be trusted and which ones cannot. We know everything about you, but you know nothing about us." Yoon Suri finished her work and put away her device. "The readings are complete. We now know exactly how they broke through the barrier. We can prevent this from happening again, but only if we want to." Minho walked back to the alien captain. "We could put up a new barrier. We could hide again and pretend this never happened. But we have decided not to do that. It is time for humanity to take its place in the galaxy." "What place?" Sektar whispered. "The place we were always meant to have," Minho said quietly. "The place that scared the old ones so much that they locked us away." The three humans stepped back together. The bright light returned and they vanished as quickly as they had appeared. The Vorthak ship's engines came back online. Their weapons and communications started working again. Captain Zorthek stared at his control panel. A new message appeared on his screen, written in perfect Vorthak language. "Go home. Tell your leaders that the humans are coming. Tell them to prepare for change." As their ship flew away from Earth space, Zektar looked back at the blue planet. Around it, he could see more human ships appearing. Hundreds of them. Then thousands. "They were beautiful and terrible, like metal angels of death. What have we done?" he whispered. Captain Zorthek did not answer. He was already planning what he would tell the Galactic Council. He was already thinking about how the galaxy would react when they learned that humanity was real, and that they were no longer alone in their little corner of space. Behind them, the barrier flickered and died completely. The gate to Earth was now open forever. The Great Hall of the Galactic Council had never been so full of fear. Representatives from 47 different species sat in their floating chairs, all talking at once. Their voices echoed off the crystal walls as they argued and shouted and demanded answers. High Chancellor Velshan called for order with his deep, booming voice. The tall, blue-skinned leader of the Altarian Republic stood at the center of the hall. His forearms spread wide as he tried to calm the crowd. "Silence! We must hear the full report." Captain Zorthek stood in the witness circle, his green skin pale with worry. Next to him, Dr. Zektar's 6 legs shook as hundreds of alien eyes stared at them. "Tell us again," Chancellor Velshan said. "Tell us exactly what you found." Zorthek cleared his throat. "We found a hidden star system behind an energy barrier. Inside was a planet called Earth, home to a species called humans. They had ships more advanced than anything we have ever seen. They spoke our language perfectly, even though they have been cut off from the galaxy for thousands of years." A reptilian delegate from the Saurian Empire hissed loudly. "Impossible. No species could advance so much in isolation." "They were not truly isolated," Dr. Zektar said quietly. "They told us they have been watching us, all of us. For 10,000 years they have been learning about every species, every world, every ship in the galaxy." The hall erupted in angry voices again. Some delegates called the Vorthak liars. Others demanded immediate military action. A few of the smaller species looked terrified and spoke of fleeing to the outer rim of the galaxy. Chancellor Velshan raised his hands for silence again. "Do we have any records of these humans?"
"Have our historians found anything?"
Dr. Kethmaran, the ancient keeper of galactic records, floated forward in his life support chair. The old cerebral was over 1,000 years old, and his huge brain pulsed with stored memories. "I have searched the oldest archives," he said in his whispering voice. "There are mentions of something called the Terran Quarantine." Every voice in the hall stopped. The silence was complete and frightening. "Continue," Chancellor Velshan said. "Long ago, before most of our current civilizations existed, there was a great and powerful race called the Precursors. They left behind only ruins and legends. But in the deepest archives there are warnings. Warnings about a species that was too dangerous to be allowed to spread among the stars." A cold feeling spread through the hall. Delegates looked at each other with growing fear. Dr. Kethmaran continued. "The records say that this species learned too fast, adapted too quickly, and grew too strong. The precursors feared that if left alone they would become unstoppable. So they built a prison of energy around their homeworld to keep them contained. And now that prison is broken," whispered a small delegate from the Peaceful Coalition. Before anyone could respond, alarms began ringing throughout the station. Emergency lights flashed red as the defense systems detected something approaching. Chancellor Velshawn touched his communication device. "Report." "Sir," came the voice of the station commander. "We have unknown ships approaching." They appeared out of nowhere. "Our sensors cannot get clear readings on them." "How many ships?" Chancellor Velshawn demanded. "Just 3, sir." "But, sir, they are big. Bigger than anything in our records." Through the great windows of the council hall, they could see 3 silver shapes moving slowly toward the station. The ships were beautiful and terrifying. Smooth as metal water, but harder than diamond. They moved without any visible engines, gliding through space like living things. "This is Ambassador Kim Nari of Earth," came a clear, calm voice over the station's communication system. "I request permission to address the Galactic Council." Chancellor Velshawn looked around the hall at the frightened faces of the delegates. "You may approach, Ambassador. But know that you are surrounded by our defense fleet." A sound that might have been laughter came through the speakers. "Yes, we see your 47 warships. They are very impressive. We will try not to accidentally damage them." One of the human ships grew brighter, and Ambassador Kim Nari appeared in the center of the hall. She stood tall and confident, wearing a simple black uniform with no weapons visible. Her dark hair was pulled back and her eyes were sharp and intelligent. She looked around the hall slowly, meeting the gaze of each delegate without fear. "Honored representatives," she said, her voice carrying clearly to every corner of the hall. "I bring greetings from Earth and the human species. We come in peace, but we come as equals, not as supplicants." The Saurian delegate stood up angrily. "Equals, you are one species on one world. We represent thousands of worlds and trillions of beings." Ambassador Kim Nari smiled slightly. "Yes, we know. We have detailed files on each of your worlds, including population numbers, military strength, economic data, and political structures. We know about your secret weapons programs, your hidden colonies, and your classified trade agreements. We know which of you are allies in public but enemies in private." The hall fell silent again. "How could they know such things?" Kim Nari continued. "We also know about the wars you have fought, the species you have driven to extinction, and the billions who have died because of your conflicts. We have watched and learned, and we have prepared." "Prepared for what?" Chancellor Velshawn asked. "For this moment," Kim Nari said simply. "For the day when we would have to choose between hiding forever or taking our place in galactic society. The precursors who built our prison were wise to fear us, but they were also wrong about one thing." "What was that?" Dr. Kethmaran whispered. "They thought isolation would weaken us. Instead, it made us stronger. While you fought each other, we learned. While you stayed the same, we grew. While you built walls between species, we built unity within ours." Kim Nari walked to the center of the hall, and holographic displays appeared around her. They showed human cities that stretched across continents, ships that could travel between stars in minutes, and technologies that seemed like magic. "We do not want to conquer you," she said. "We do not want to rule you, but we will not be ignored or dismissed. Humanity is now part of this galaxy, whether you like it or not." "What do you want from us?" Chancellor Velshawn asked. "Nothing," Kim Nari said. "But we offer something, peace, real peace. An end to the wars that have raged for centuries. An end to the suffering and death that your conflicts bring." "And if we refuse?" demanded the Saurian delegate. Kim Nari's expression did not change. "Then we will defend ourselves, and you will learn why the precursors were so afraid of us." Behind her, the holographic displays changed to show weapon tests. Planets being moved like toy balls, stars being dimmed and brightened at will, technologies that could reshape reality itself. "The choice is yours," Ambassador Kim Nari said. "We hope you choose wisely." She began to fade away, but her voice continued to echo in the hall. "We will give you time to decide. But know this, the age of humanity hiding in the shadows is over. The galaxy is about to change forever." When she was gone, the hall remained silent for a long time. Finally, Chancellor Velshawn spoke in a shaking voice. "Contact our military commanders. We need to know everything about human capabilities." But in their hearts, many of the delegates already knew the truth. The galaxy had just met its new masters, and there was nothing they could do to stop what was coming. Fleet Admiral Song Jihoon stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the enemy approach. Through the great windows of the Earth defense ship Harmony, he could see thousands of alien warships moving toward Earth space. They came in 3 massive groups, each one bigger than any fleet humanity had ever imagined. "Sir," reported Lieutenant O. Seojin from his station. Long-range sensors show 10,000 enemy ships. The Hegemony Alliance has brought everything they have. Song Ji-hoon nodded calmly. He was an older man with gray hair and steady hands. He had spent his whole life preparing for this moment, even though he had hoped it would never come. What about our fleet? 200 ships ready for battle, sir. All captains report ready. The numbers seemed impossible. 10,000 against 200. But Song Ji-hoon was not worried. He had seen what human ships could do. Open a channel to all vessels. Let me speak to our people. Across the human fleet, his voice carried to every ship. My fellow humans, today we face a test that our species has been preparing for across 10,000 years. They come with overwhelming numbers because they fear us. They attack us because they do not understand us. Show them why the precursors built walls to keep us contained. Dr. Park Chae-young worked quickly at her science station. She was young and brilliant with sharp eyes that missed nothing. Her screen showed detailed information about every alien ship approaching them. Admiral, I have complete biological profiles on all enemy species. Their weaknesses are identified. Prepare the neural disruptors, Song Ji-hoon ordered. Set them to stun, not kill. We want them to survive this. The alien fleet was led by General Krextar of the Hegemony Alliance. He was a massive warrior from the Titan species, bred for war and conquest. His flagship was 5 kilometers long and carried enough weapons to destroy a moon. He felt confident as he looked at the small human fleet ahead of him. Pathetic, he growled to his officers. 200 ships against our 10,000. This will be over in minutes. He opened a communication channel to the humans. Attention Earth vessels. You are outnumbered 50 to 1. Surrender now and we may allow some of you to live as slaves. Song Ji-hoon's voice came back, calm and clear. General Krextar, we know about your military record. 47 victories, 0 defeats. Very impressive. Unfortunately for you, today you will learn the difference between fighting other galactic species and fighting humanity. Brave words from a dead man, Krextar snarled. All ships attack formation. Destroy them all. The alien fleet surged forward like a wave of metal death. Their weapons charged up, filling space with deadly energy. Missiles launched by the thousands. Energy beams bright enough to vaporize mountains shot toward the human ships. Then something impossible happened. The human ships simply vanished. One moment they were there, and the next moment they were gone. As if they had never existed at all, the alien weapons hit empty space, wasting their fury on nothing. Where did they go? General Krextar shouted at his sensor operators. Sir, we cannot detect them. They are not on any of our instruments. Behind the alien fleet, the human ships reappeared. They had somehow moved through space in an instant, traveling faster than light without using any visible engines. But they were different now. Each ship was surrounded by a glowing field of energy that bent light around them like water. Lieutenant O. Seojin led the first attack from his starfighter. His small ship moved like lightning between the massive alien vessels, too fast for their weapons to track. Behind him flew squadron after squadron of human fighters, each one moving with impossible speed and grace. But the fighters were not trying to destroy the enemy ships. Instead, they were releasing clouds of tiny machines that spread through the alien fleet like invisible dust. Dr. Park Chae-young watched the results on her screens. Neural disruptors deployed successfully, Admiral. Alien crews are being rendered unconscious but unharmed. Their ships will be intact but powerless. Across the alien fleet, something strange was happening. On ship after ship, the crews were falling asleep. Not dying, just sleeping deeply and peacefully. The tiny machines released by the human fighters had analyzed the brain chemistry of each alien species and created the perfect sleeping drug for each one. General Krextar felt his own mind growing fuzzy. What is happening to us? He whispered before his massive body collapsed onto his command chair. With their crews unconscious, the alien ships drifted helplessly in space. But the humans were not finished demonstrating their power. Fleet Admiral Song Ji-hoon gave his next order. Activate the gravity manipulators. Show them what we have learned about space itself. Around the human ships, space began to bend and twist. Some of the alien vessels were gently pushed away from Earth, moving backward despite their engines trying to drive them forward. Others found themselves trapped in bubbles of twisted spacetime, unable to move in any direction. Colonel Bae Minji's Special Forces teams had been waiting for this moment. Her soldiers appeared on alien ships throughout the fleet, materializing out of thin air like ghosts. They moved through the vessels quickly and efficiently, securing the sleeping crews and downloading data from the ship's computers. All ships secured, Admiral, she reported. No casualties on either side. Complete intelligence gathered on enemy capabilities. The battle had lasted exactly 6 hours. When it was over, the massive alien fleet hung motionless in space, their crews sleeping peacefully while human soldiers stood guard over them. Not a single being had died, but the power of humanity had been displayed for all the galaxy to see. Song Ji-hoon opened a communication channel that would broadcast to every world in known space. His image appeared on screens across the galaxy, calm and dignified in his simple uniform. "People of the galaxy," he said, "today you witnessed an attack on Earth by 10,000 warships. You also witnessed our response. We could have destroyed this entire fleet in minutes. We could have killed every being aboard these ships. Instead, we chose mercy." He gestured toward the disabled alien fleet. "These soldiers came here believing they were strong. They learned today that strength is not about how many ships you have or how big your weapons are. True strength is having the power to destroy your enemies and choosing not to use it." On worlds across the galaxy, leaders watched in shocked silence as Song Ji-hoon continued his broadcast. "We did not ask for this fight. We would have been content to remain hidden forever. But you forced this confrontation, and now you have seen the result. We are not your enemies, but we are no longer your victims either." He paused, letting his words sink in across thousands of worlds. "The crews of these ships will be returned home safely. They will remember what happened here, and they will carry our message to their people. That message is simple. Humanity is now part of this galaxy. We can be your greatest allies or your most terrible enemies. The choice is yours." Song Ji-hoon looked directly into the camera, and his next words would be remembered for generations. "We have spent 10,000 years learning about war, but we have also learned about peace. We offer both to you now. Choose wisely." The broadcast ended, leaving the galaxy in stunned silence. On Earth, human ships began the careful work of waking up the alien crews and sending them home. Each ship that left carried with it the knowledge that everything had changed forever. General Krextar was among the last to wake up. He found himself in his own command chair, unharmed but surrounded by human soldiers who treated him with respect and courtesy. A human officer handed him a datapad containing detailed scans of every human weapon and defense system used in the battle. "Why are you showing me this?" he asked in confusion. The human officer smiled. "Because we want you to understand that hiding our capability serves no purpose now. Let your leaders study these designs. Let them understand exactly what they are dealing with. Perhaps it will help them make better decisions in the future." As his ship flew away from Earth space, General Krextar looked back at the blue planet that had just redefined the meaning of power in the galaxy. He had come to conquer and had been defeated without violence. He had come to destroy and had been shown mercy. For the first time in his warrior's life, he understood what true strength really meant. Chancellor Ryu Kyungmin stood in the Earth Command Center, watching screens that showed the collapse of galactic civilization. Around her, analysts tracked the cascade of chaos spreading from star system to star system like a deadly disease. She was a small woman with gray hair and tired eyes, but her voice carried the authority of an entire species. "Show me the outer rim territories," she said quietly. The main screen changed to display the edge of known space. Red warning lights blinked across dozens of star systems. Dr. Lim Sua, Earth's leading expert on galactic sociology, pointed to the spreading pattern of destruction. "The Hegemony Alliance's defeat triggered exactly what we predicted," she reported. "Without their military protection, smaller species are being attacked by raiders and pirates. 3 civilizations have already fallen completely." Chancellor Ryu watched as another star system turned red on the map. "How many refugees?" 15 million beings fleeing their homeworlds, Dr. Lim said sadly. "The numbers grow every hour." General Nam Woo-jin approached from his command station. He was a tall man with sharp features and calculating eyes. "Chancellor, our Psychological Warfare Division reports complete success. 57 species have requested protection treaties. They are more afraid of being left alone than they are of us." Ryu Kyungmin nodded slowly. This was not what humanity had wanted, but it was what they had expected. "What about the species that refuse our help?" 12 governments have declared us their enemy," General Nam replied. "They would rather die free than live under human protection. The Crimson Federation is organizing them into a resistance movement. On another screen, they could see the results of that resistance. The Crimson Federation had launched attacks on human supply convoys bringing aid to refugee camps. They were using suicide tactics, ramming their ships into human vessels at maximum speed. Commander Han Jihan appeared on the communication screen from his position near the Altair system. His face was grim as he delivered his report. Chancellor, the Federation attacked our medical ships again. We suffered no casualties, but they destroyed themselves trying to stop us from delivering medicine to plague victims. How do we respond to people who choose death over our help? Chancellor Ryu asked quietly. It was the question that haunted humanity's leaders. They had the power to stop all the suffering in the galaxy, but many species refused to accept their aid. Some preferred to die rather than admit that humans were superior. Dr. Lim Sua had been studying this problem for months. The psychology is clear, she explained. For thousands of years, these species have defined themselves as the dominant forces in the galaxy. Accepting human protection means accepting that they are weak and we are strong. Many would rather destroy themselves than face that truth. General Nam Wujin pulled up new reports on his screen. Our latest broadcasts are having the desired effect. 40 more worlds have requested immediate humanitarian assistance. But the Crimson Federation is countering with propaganda claiming we are demons who eat the souls of our victims. Chancellor Ryu almost smiled at that. Demons who provide free medical care and food supplies to anyone who asks? Fear makes people believe strange things, Dr. Lim observed. The more impossible our technology appears, the more some species convince themselves that we must be evil. On the main screen, they watched as another human fleet arrived at a devastated world. Commander Han Jihan's ships moved into orbit around the planet Kasara, where civil war had been raging for 6 months. The planet's surface was covered in smoke and fire, and millions of refugees huddled in camps without food or medicine. This is Commander Han Jihan of the Earth Humanitarian Fleet. His voice carried across all communication channels on the planet. We offer medical aid, food, and temporary shelter to all beings regardless of their political affiliation. Our only requirement is that you stop shooting at each other long enough for us to help. The two armies that had been fighting on Kasara's surface slowly stopped their battle. Soldiers on both sides looked up at the human ships with wonder and fear. These vessels were larger than cities and moved through the sky like floating mountains. Within hours, human medical teams were working in the refugee camps. Their equipment could heal injuries that the local doctors considered impossible to treat. They brought machines that could produce unlimited food and water from basic materials. They set up force fields that protected the camps from any further attacks. Dr. Shin Ha-Yawan, humanity's chief historian, worked alongside the medical teams. She was documenting everything for future study. As she treated wounded soldiers from both armies, she asked them why they had been fighting. We fight because they took our sacred mountain, said one soldier. We fight because they poisoned our water supply, said another from the opposite. Army Dr. Shin looked at both men with sad eyes. Your sacred mountain was destroyed by mining equipment 200 years ago. Your water was poisoned by industrial waste, not by your enemies. You have been fighting over things that do not exist anymore. This was the pattern they found everywhere. Species fighting wars based on old grievances that no longer mattered. Civilizations destroying themselves over resources that could be easily replaced with human technology. Leaders who would rather watch their people die than admit they were wrong. Chancellor Ryu Kyungmin made the decision that would define humanity's role in the galaxy. Begin Operation Gentle Hand, she ordered. We will save them whether they want to be saved or not. General Nam Wujin nodded and activated protocols that had been prepared for months. Across human space, special forces teams received their orders. They would infiltrate the most dangerous conflict zones and simply make war impossible. Captain John Minjae led one of these teams to the Zephyr system, where two species had been trying to exterminate each other for 3 years. His stealth ship slipped past all sensors and defenses, invisible to any detection method known to galactic science. In the middle of the night, while both armies slept, John's team went to work. They replaced all weapons with devices that looked identical but could only stun, not kill. They modified all military vehicles so their engines would shut down if they tried to approach enemy positions. They programmed every computer on both sides to refuse any order that would result in casualties. When the armies woke up the next morning and tried to continue their war, nothing worked. Their guns wouldn't fire lethal shots. Their ships wouldn't fly toward enemy territory. Their missiles turned into fireworks that painted pretty colors in the sky. Both sides blamed each other for sabotage, but gradually they realized what had really happened. The humans had made war impossible without anyone noticing they were there. Similar operations happened across the galaxy. Weapons that couldn't kill, ships that couldn't attack, communication systems that would only transmit messages of peace. Humanity was remaking the galaxy one star system at a time, and most beings never even knew it was happening. The Crimson Federation tried to organize a final strike against Earth itself. They gathered their most powerful ships and prepared for a suicide mission that would show the galaxy that someone was still willing to fight the humans. Their fleet never reached Earth space. General Nam Wujin's psychological warfare teams had been monitoring their communications for months. When the Federation ships launched their attack, they found their own crews turning against them. "This is Captain Velthar of the Federation ship Death's Honor," came a broadcast from the lead vessel. "We refuse to follow orders that will result in our deaths for no purpose. We are returning home to help rebuild our worlds instead of destroying ourselves out of pride." One by one, the entire Federation fleet abandoned their mission. Their crews had been watching human broadcasts for months, seeing how the humans treated even their enemies with kindness and respect. They could no longer justify dying for leaders who offered only death and defeat. Chancellor Ryu Kyungmin watched the reports with mixed feelings. Humanity was winning every conflict without firing a shot. They were saving millions of lives and bringing peace to the galaxy. But they were also destroying the independence and dignity of every species they encountered. "Are we doing the right thing?" she asked Dr. Lim Sua. The sociologist considered the question carefully. "We are preventing suffering and death on a scale never before seen in galactic history. But we are also making it impossible for other species to grow and learn from their own mistakes. We are becoming their parents instead of their equals. Perhaps that is what they need," Chancellor Ryu said quietly. "Perhaps that is what we have always been meant to become." Outside the command center windows, they could see human ships preparing for their next missions. Ships carrying medicine to plague worlds, food to starving populations, and technology to civilizations that had forgotten how to maintain their own infrastructure. The galaxy was becoming peaceful, prosperous, and safe. It was also becoming completely dependent on humanity for everything that mattered. The age of galactic independence was ending. The age of human guardianship had begun. Empress Lee Ariam stood on the observation deck of the great space station that orbited Earth. 5 years had passed since humanity revealed itself to the galaxy, and everything had changed. Through the massive windows, she could see ships from 100 different species coming and going peacefully. The station was a symbol of the new order. Beautiful, functional, and protected by human power. She was no longer just the leader of Earth. The galaxy had given her a title she had never wanted: Empress of the Terran Protectorate. 43 species had formally joined the Protectorate, placing themselves under human protection in exchange for peace and prosperity. "Your Majesty," said Master Engineer Kim Dong-yuk as he approached. He was younger than most of humanity's leaders, but his genius with technology was unmatched. "The Centauri ring is complete. We can now move entire solar systems if needed." Ariam nodded as she looked at the reports on her tablet. The Centauri ring was a massive structure that surrounded the Alpha Centauri system, allowing humans to control gravity and space-time itself. It was just one of dozens of such projects that were reshaping the galaxy, according to human design. "How many worlds requested relocation this month?" she asked. 17, Kim Dong-hyuk replied. "Their original planets were too damaged by war or pollution to support life. We can give them new homes in systems we have prepared for them." Dr. Jong Yuna joined them at the window. She was humanity's leading philosopher, tasked with understanding what humans had become and what they were becoming. Her face was troubled as she watched the alien ships moving through space under human guidance. "Empress, we need to discuss the Consciousness Upload project," she said quietly. "The resistance fighters from the Crimson Federation have been captured." Ariam sighed. Even now, 5 years later, some beings still fought against human rule. The Crimson Federation had been reduced to small groups of terrorists who attacked refugee camps and medical facilities. They could not hurt humanity, but they could still harm the innocent beings that humans were trying to protect. What did they do this time? Ariam asked. They destroyed a hospital ship carrying medicine to the plague worlds, Dr. Zhong replied. 3,000 patients died because the medication could not reach them in time. This was the problem that haunted humanity's leaders. How do you deal with people who choose to cause suffering rather than accept help? How do you stop those who would rather see others die than admit they are wrong? Admiral Park Soon-ho appeared on the communication screen from his flagship in the Outer Rim. His face was grim but determined. Empress, we have located the Federation's last stronghold. Their leader, General Korthvar, has threatened to destroy an entire system rather than surrender. 2 billion innocent beings live in that system. Ariam closed her eyes for a moment. General Korthvar was the last of the old-style military leaders who believed that honor was more important than life. He had been fighting humanity for 5 years, always retreating, always running, but never giving up his hatred. What are his demands? She asked. Complete human withdrawal from the galaxy, Admiral Park replied. He wants us to return to Earth and seal ourselves away again. If we refuse, he will detonate the system star and kill everyone in it. Dr. Zhong Yuna stepped forward. Empress, the consciousness transfer technology is ready. We can save his mind and the minds of his followers. They can live in a virtual paradise where they can fight their wars without hurting anyone real. It was the ultimate expression of human power and mercy. They could take the consciousness of their enemies and place them in computer simulations where they could live out their warrior fantasies forever. Their bodies would be kept safe and healthy, but their minds would be in a world where they could fight and die and fight again without actually harming anyone. Is it right? Ariam asked quietly. Are we gods now, deciding the fate of every mind in the galaxy? Master Engineer Kim Dong-hyuk pulled up displays showing the virtual worlds they had created. Look at what we can offer them, he said. Perfect worlds where every species can live according to their nature. Warrior races can fight eternal battles. Peaceful races can create art and music. Everyone can have exactly what they want. But they will not be real, Dr. Zhong Yuna pointed out. They will be living in dreams while we control their physical bodies. Their dreams will be better than the reality they are creating, Ariam said sadly. At least in our simulations, their wars do not kill innocent people. She made the decision that would define humanity's final transformation. Begin the transfer. Save General Korthvar and his followers. Save the 2 billion beings in that system. Give the Federation warriors their perfect war in a world where they cannot hurt anyone else. Admiral Park Soon-ho nodded. It will be done, Empress. Our ships are moving into position now. Across the galaxy, similar operations were taking place. The last holdouts against human rule were being quietly and gently removed from reality and placed in virtual worlds designed specifically for them. They would never know the difference, but the galaxy would finally be at peace. On the space station, representatives from the protected species came to thank their human guardians. The insectoid Vorthak brought gifts of beautiful crystal sculptures. The reptilian saurians offered songs of gratitude. The ethereal Luminians created light shows that painted the station's walls with moving rainbows. But Empress Lee Ariam felt the weight of what humanity had become. They were no longer the same species that had been locked away 10,000 years ago. They had evolved beyond anything the precursors could have imagined. Dr. Zhong, she said quietly, what are we now? Are we still human? The philosopher considered the question carefully. We have the memories and emotions of humans. We care about the same things our ancestors cared about, protecting the innocent, preventing suffering, seeking knowledge and beauty. But our power, she gestured toward the displays showing human technology reshaping entire star systems. Our power is beyond anything any species has ever possessed. Are we good gods or bad gods? Ariam asked with a slight smile. We are reluctant gods, Dr. Zhong replied, and perhaps that is the best kind. Kim Dong-hyuk approached with new reports. Empress, we have completed the Galactic Infrastructure Project. Every inhabited system now has access to unlimited energy, matter conversion, and faster-than-light communication. Disease has been eliminated. Hunger is impossible. War has been made obsolete. Through the windows they could see the results of human engineering. Space elevators connected planets to orbital cities. Rings of solar collectors surrounded every star, providing unlimited clean energy. Massive gates allowed instant travel between any 2 points in the galaxy. What do the protected species do with their time now? Ariam asked. They explore, create, learn, and grow, Dr. Zhong replied, without the need to fight for resources or survival. They are free to pursue art, science, and philosophy. Many are discovering potentials they never knew they had. And if they want to leave the Protectorate, they are free to go, Kim Dong-hyuk said. We have prepared empty systems for any species that wants complete independence. They can start over with any level of technology they choose, from simple agriculture to advanced space travel. How many have chosen to leave? Aryam asked. None, Dr. Jong said quietly. They have seen what independence costs in a galaxy where resources are limited and conflicts are inevitable. They prefer safety under our protection to freedom with uncertainty. Empress Lee Aryam looked out at the peaceful galaxy that humanity now shepherded. There were no wars, no famines, no plagues, no desperate struggles for survival. Every being could live their entire life without fear or want. But there was also no real challenge, no genuine risk, no opportunity for the kind of growth that came from overcoming adversity. Humanity had solved every problem and eliminated every danger, but in doing so, they had also removed the experiences that made life meaningful for many species. Are we helping them or hurting them? She wondered aloud. Both, Dr. Jong Yuna said honestly. We are preventing suffering on a scale that was unimaginable before. But we are also preventing the kind of struggle that leads to strength and wisdom. Then we are doing what parents do, Aryam decided. We protect our children until they are ready to protect themselves. And when will they be ready? Kim Dong-hyuk asked. Aryam smiled as she looked at the stars. In the distance, human exploration ships were preparing to leave the galaxy entirely. Humanity had exhausted the challenges of their home galaxy and was now looking beyond it for new frontiers. Perhaps when we are gone, she said. Perhaps when humanity itself moves on to even greater challenges, the galaxy will be ready to grow up without us. Far beyond the edge of the galaxy, human sensors had detected something impossible. Signals from other galaxies, sent by beings whose technology rivaled humanity's own. After 10,000 years of growth and evolution, humanity had finally found equals. The age of human dominance in their home galaxy was ending before it had truly begun. Soon humanity would face new challenges that would test even their godlike abilities, and when they left to meet those challenges, the galaxy they had protected and guided would finally have the chance to stand on its own. The quarantine that had once been humanity's prison